It back if that's what you're doing. Leave me a comment in the comment box below to let me know where you're listening in from. I'd appreciate it, and I can get back to you and message you and thank you personally for watching this. Now let's get right into it. We're going to be doing a series of lives on weight loss to try and answer some of your questions that have been coming through. Now this is for my benefit as much as it is for yours, because people will ask me about weight loss and then they will ask me questions that I've answered before, and to stop me from spending my life on Instagram and not seeing my family ever again, for my benefit, I'm going to create an archive of your frequently asked questions so that you can get all your weight loss advice, and it will be on a channel or a playlist, and you can go in there and have a look at all the questions and then get your questions answered. So firstly, just want to say hello to everyone who's joined in. Pindi, Jivanpal, Gurj, Bhavan, Jyoti I saw is in here. Good to see you, Jyoti. Hope you guys are well. Today's topic is going to be about how to start intermittent fasting. And this is one that I get probably asked the most often, or definitely one of the top 5. Now, the way to start, there's basically 2 ways. There's the way that some people do it, and depending on your personality, if you have kind of a all-out personality where you do something and you do it kind of to the T and you'll just go for it, like if you've done a sport before and you've ended up training every day a week, Jyoti is a good example of this, then the first method may suit you better. And essentially what you're going to do is you're going to wake up tomorrow morning, and from tomorrow morning you're not going to have breakfast. You're just going to have water. That's it. Water and nothing else until lunchtime, or until as close to lunchtime as you can get, 11, 12 p.m. And then you're going to eat your meals within that period of time. Now, the next logical question is, when do you stop eating? And it's usually an 8-hour window. If you can't do an 8-hour window, then push it to a 9 or a 10-hour window, whatever you feel that you can do, and you can always cut it back later to an 8-hour window once you get the hang of it. That's the first way of doing it. Now, I started intermittent fasting when my brother passed away, so it was do intermittent fasting, get your heart healthy and get your blood pressure down, or die. So that was the kind of ultimatum that I had. So I just went for the extreme because I was trying lots of different things to try and get my blood pressure down, and then I found intermittent fasting and then it worked great for my heart. So that's kind of the method that I took. But hopefully you won't have as extreme circumstances as I had, so you won't have to do it in that extreme way. That being said, it does work for a number of people to do, just wake up tomorrow and start it, and then figure it out as you go along, as with a lot of things. This is something that's very experiential, and it's also all self-discipline. So it's got nothing to do with, there's no real way that you can prepare yourself, nothing that you can read, no book that you can kind of absorb, and then the next day you'll be really good at intermittent fasting. It is also all very practical. Bala, how you doing? Good to see you, bro. Good to speak to you yesterday as well. How's married life treating you? Are you getting fat? Because there is a saying that when you get married you gain 4 pounds or something like that. The next part, the second part, is to do with the second method is to do with preparation, and that method works for a lot of people. So what they will do for that method is they will think, okay, well, from next week onwards I want to start. So they will plan, okay, well, on Monday I'm going to need to get breakfast lined up so that when it hits lunchtime I have something to eat, because that's when you're most likely to binge and go for the bad foods. So you ideally want to have, what are you going to have at breakfast, what are you going to have at tea time, breakfast being midday, and what are you going to have at tea time, and then what are you going to have for your dinner. A rough idea of that. I don't mean meal prepping. If you can do meal prepping, then that's great, but personally I don't have the time to do that, or I don't make the time to do that. So I have a rough idea. I know in the morning I can have porridge, bananas, peanut butter, and then I know tea time I can have sweet potatoes with hummus, and I know for dinner I can have roti and dal, sabji and dahi, and some other smoothie as a source of protein for my dinner. So that's how I do it. Now, which method works for you is kind of up to you, but if you're going to go for the second method, then obviously those meals that I suggested, you would need to make sure you've got the ingredients there for them so that you don't struggle and make this harder for you than possible. Now, intermittent fasting is a lifestyle change, it's not a diet, and as such, the best way to do any kind of lifestyle change is gradually and consistently until it becomes part of you to the point where you can't eat in the morning because you'll feel sick, that kind of thing. So that's how to start intermittent fasting. Does anyone have any questions on it? The next question is usually, what time shall I do? That depends on whatever time you want to do. Most people will do, the hunger hormones peak around 6 p.m. So most people will do 12 to 8 because that covers that window, and then they can eat as a family together in the evenings because most people are done dinner by that. So definitely do ask questions. Now's the time. If you've got any questions or if there's something that I've been unclear about, please do me a favor and ask a question. There is a guy called Terry Crews, the big African American guy in Expendables, and he does his 2 to 10 because he'll go out to dinner to eat. So he'll wait till 2 p.m. to eat so that he can eat later. So it does work that way. I had a mum who it was really important for her to have breakfast in the mornings with her kids. So she did 8 till 4, and that worked for her. So most of it is down to, in terms of the times you choose, is down to what works for you. The next thing, we'll come to that based on your questions. So let me know, if you please message me if you've got any questions related to how to start, because this will help the next person who watches the video, because it will also answer that question for them. Because if you've got that question, then they probably have the same question. So please do me a favor and ask questions. No question is too silly. No question, Bala, you're getting fat. Yep, that's how it should be. It means in Indian culture that your wife is treating you well. Jaron asks, how do you get daily intake 1 gram per body weight? So the first thing about protein intake is it's not 1 gram per pound. That's what bodybuilders try and tell you so that you can buy more protein shakes and they can make more money. What it is, if you go into my stories and you go into the research highlights, you'll see the most recent evidence which came out in May, which says that actually all of that is a myth, that you need 1 gram per kilogram of body weight. So if I weigh 70 kilograms and the average weight of a male is around 70 kilograms, then you would need 70 grams of protein per day. It's very easy to get 70 grams of protein per day. The things I mentioned, if you missed that part, just watch the video back so I don't have to repeat it for the people who have watched it. Then you would get 70 grams easily. And I've done a day of eating, which is linked to in my bio, and that was something like 95 grams of protein, and there was no supplementation in that. It was just food. So the protein thing is a myth. What's essentially happening is the composition of foods is like they might be having very high carbohydrate and low protein, and the reason they're gaining weight or getting centralized obesity, getting belly fat, is because the carbohydrate content is too high compared to their fat and protein content. So balance is very important, not just increasing your intake of protein. Hope that answered that question. If it doesn't, then Jen, it's a very valid question. If it hasn't answered the question, or if you want clarification, then please just comment again, and I'll clarify that as I'm going through. What's the best thing to eat when you open your fast? Again, it's a lifestyle, so it depends on what you eat in your lifestyle. I've coached people from China, India. Most people are Sikhs from UK and Canada and America. So let's take those guys for an example. I would recommend, if you, in an ideal world, have a smoothie. Chuck loads of good things in there. Have some almond butter, have some frozen berries, have some frozen raspberries, some organic oats, and some milk, like some oat milk, and then you're going to get, and some spinach, and you've got everything that you could possibly need in your first meal. So ideally that would be a first meal. If you can't do that, then have some porridge oats with peanut butter and banana. That's a really quick and easy meal that most people should be able to access. But the thing is that all of the cereals have sugar, including Weetabix has added salt and sugar. So that's something that you've got to be aware of. Ideally, you want to have porridge with like some berries, some natural sugars, so from berries or fruit, and some source of fat and protein like peanut butter, almond butter, seeds, that kind of thing. Hopefully that answers your question. If it doesn't, then please let me know. Just comment again and I can be a bit more specific. Is it to go vegan, good to go vegan whilst doing IF? That's a very kind of individual question. It kind of depends on whether you want to go vegan anyway. If you want to go vegan, then regardless of whether you're doing IF or not, you should do it. If you can give me a bit more context to the question, then I can definitely answer that. And otherwise, it's a bit difficult because with IF, you're restricting your window of time. So if you're like me, let's say you're a 70 kilogram male, we mentioned you need to eat 70 grams of protein in a day. So spread that, let's say 30, 60, or 25. So let's say that's pretty much 25 grams of protein per meal. So I would need to have 3 meals within that time. And so 3 meals with 25 grams of protein in it each. Now that when I have it doing intermittent fasting, I've got to make sure that I get those meals in, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to sustain it, and then I'm not going to be able to maintain my muscle mass, and I'm not going to be able to have a good quality of life and be healthy and be optimum, which is what everybody wants. So I would need to be vigilant to make sure that I can fit those 3 in. If you can't fit those 3 in, then you need to kind of reassess whether IF is right for you right now, or whether you need to have a wider window, or whether you just do a vegan diet and focus on getting in all of your macronutrients and micronutrients that you may need within a wider window of time. So it depends on your lifestyle, what's most important to you as a priority. If animal welfare is really important to you, then maybe go for the vegan diet and not do the IF. If you've done veganism for some time, you've kind of maxed out the health benefits and the fat loss benefits with that, and you want to lose more weight, then sure, add IF on and play around with that. Hopefully that answers your question. If it doesn't, then please do comment again and I'll clarify. Is it good to have a healthy, high fat and high protein diet as a first meal? So the evidence on fats, you've probably heard of ketogenic diets and things like that. So the evidence on fats is very kind of controversial, and it's a bit flaky. So ketogenic diets seem to work well for some people, and for some people it seems to make them very ill. High protein diets, there's something called rabbit starvation, which is basically, it happens a lot to bodybuilders, that kind of specific field where you're depriving your body of a lot of other macronutrients, specifically carbohydrates and fats, and you're focusing on just protein, which means that you're deficient in a lot of other parts of your diet, like B vitamins, and then you end up getting sick. So that's rabbit starvation. Essentially you want something that's balanced. With the traditional Indian diet or Western Indian diet, it's very high carbohydrate and lower in the others. So focusing on the proteins and fats would be a good shout. I'm going to have to head off because my wife is calling me, but I'm just going to try and get through the last questions as much as possible. What's the weekly target to lose if we start? It's very specific on you. I've had Bubban, who's on my YouTube channel, interview with him. He lost 25 kilograms in 3 months, 25 or 30 kilograms. So that was because he had a lot to lose. If you have 4 kilograms to lose, you're not going to lose 25 kilograms. So it just depends on what your starting point is, how heavy you were to start off with, and you're probably going to lose more weight more rapidly, depending on how overweight you are, and if you've really been letting yourself go. If you, like Balla, who've got a history of training and eating and playing around with different diets, he's probably not going to lose as much. Okay. So last questions. Definitely get into that. No other questions. Thank you very much. Really appreciate your comments. Balla's wife. Is he doing weird? Whereas I won't be yet. Dippy, that's fine. You don't have to do it. You can. One person can do it. Absolutely. You gotta do what works for you. Don't worry about what anyone else is doing. As with anything else in life, you just ignore other people. Do what works with you. Works for you. Be open to trying new things. See if it works, if it helps you. If it doesn't, just drop it. Do you use protein supplements? I haven't in the past. Recently I am taking some protein supplements. I've got some hemp protein powder, which is ground hemp seeds at the moment. I put that in a smoothie sometimes and I give to the kids. I have some whey protein powder, which I was trying because I'm doing a video on YouTube on supplements and what the best supplements to have is. I personally don't like the taste of whey. I'm trying to find one that tastes good. So if you know one that tastes good, then please do let me know. But just shaking it and having it, I find it tastes a bit like malai. I don't know if anyone resonates with that. Okay, I think that's all the questions. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you guys tuning into this live chat. I will be doing another one tomorrow. DM me your questions so I have something to talk about. What's the best way to control cravings? It is a mindset thing. Probably water is the best way because your stomach doesn't know the difference between hunger cravings or being full from food and being full from water. So if you're sipping water, you're going to do well to curb some cravings. Chewing gum is another one that some people go for. Canadian protein is great for Canadians. Oh, nice. I've got to try that when I go to Canada. Okay, nice. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'll see you on tomorrow's live chat. Have a great day, everyone.